to the live stream show here at Potsquatch Growers. I am just going to switch the messages to all messages. There we go. All right. What's happening, Daddy O Grows? What's happening, Greg Page? Good to see you. What's up, Soul Price? What's up, Deborah Fletcher? Good to see you. There is no set day for our shows. So the shows happen when they happen in this modern day and age of Potsquatch Growers. I actually start a brand new job tomorrow, so I will be working, I think, typically Monday through Friday, but I'll also be working maybe some weekends. So the shows will happen when they happen. They're just going to be kind of a random time, but we're going to try to maintain, obviously doing a show a week, as well as, doing the update videos. The new plants are going really, really well. The one that was kind of floopy, it is way behind, but we've got two really good contenders going for the tent, which are the Blue Cheese by Girl Scout Cookies. Pretty soon we'll be transplanting those. I haven't talked to them or anything yet. We've inoculated with mycelium, or not mycelium, microzyme. We've been feeding, and they're doing well. Let me see here. What's up, Daleski OG? Good to see you. What's up, Anthony? Good to see you, buddy. All right, have I missed anyone? What's up, Eugene Dolan? All right. What's up, Alien Garden Genetics? Good to see you as well. All right. So, yeah, things are going really well here, actually. The plants are really, really getting a good start. They were kind of slow for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Our boy Gaz has actually got some of those that I sent to him that he's growing out as well. So we both had similar experiences with this genetic, taking its sweet time in terms of initial realities. That's not necessarily a bad thing when you see that in your plants, though, too. Some plants just like to take their time, and they're really, really focusing on developing their root systems, getting that ready so that when they begin to do that push in terms of foliar development, they're good to go and they've got things ready to rock. What's up, Wonky Donkey? Good to see you, buddy. What's up, Ben Mason? Good to see you. What's up, Monkey Man Productions? Good to see you. All right. But yeah, so the thing that I'm liking so far in these seedlings is just the thickness of their main stalk already is huge. Like, they're almost to the point of a pencil now, which is very, very unusual for this early on to see such a thick root. They're really starting to express their foliar development. Their secondary branches from their initial nodes off the main segments are really starting to kind of come in. They're still quite small, but they're doing their thing, though. What's up, little Chewy Stewie? What's up, Mike L has key? Good to see you, yo. What's up, Miss K's Garden? Good to see you. We'll grab those plants in a little bit and show those to everybody. But yeah. So, simply put, in terms of the shows, though, this is going out to Deborah Fletcher there. The shows will happen when the shows happen, and there is no real rhyme or reason per se to them, because the nature of my new job, my schedule often will shift. So I won't necessarily work, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It could be some weekends. It could be, so I'm just kind of playing by the ear of this new job. It will probably take me a few weeks of figuring out sort of the nature of it and all of that jazz. But the good news is with this job, it will be paying me ridiculously well, paying me more money than I've ever made at a job before. So once I am out of debt, we'll be able to get some new tents and get some other things going. And heck, eventually we could probably even save up a few bucks to expand sort of the stuff that we have on the store for the swag and all that jazz. Have I grown any Ethos genetics? I don't know. I'm trying to remember now. I feel like I have some stuff from Ethos potentially in my collection, but whether I've actually grown them or not, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that and sort of check inside my brain. One second here. I have no idea who this AEBS person is, but they're obviously delusional. I'm just going to do that. There we go. There we go. They've been taken care of now. That was weird. I have no idea what that is. But anyway, the new job's pretty cool. I'm going to be basically working for a very high-end group of retirement homes. It is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They have 6 locations, and they're building their seventh. And basically, my job will be to drive around doing random shit at all the different buildings at all the time. I kind of function as the sort of the regional district facilities manager. So he's like the big boss of all the buildings, as his agent, and then I will drive around and fix things and do all this kind of stuff. So simply put, we're going to be making some good money there, pension benefits, all that jazz. So I'll be able to. It'll probably still take me a number of months to kind of pay off all the debt that I currently have incurred. But once the debt's gone, then we can start buying some other tents and doing some fun things and all that. Oh, Jason A is Jay Blaze. All right, what's up, buddy? You switched it up on me. Good to see you. Jay Blaze is a fun name, though. Um, yeah, it was weird. It's all good, Soul Price. Some people are weird, you know what I mean? But yeah, so anyway, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting the debt paid off and being able to get some more tents in here, and hopefully expanding what we're able to do for the show. Big shout out to the Mediterranean, to you, Dan. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. Um, one of the things that I've been toying around with this new job is I'll be making the type of money that hypothetically, I mean, I'll never be able to afford a house in Vancouver. Houses in Vancouver are millions and millions of dollars. The job doesn't pay that well. But one thing that I might be able to actually pull off with this new job is, there's float homes that are for sale. So it's basically a house that floats on water and it's moored at a dock and stuff. So it's a little weird, but those are in my price range. So I might be able to actually manage to purchase one of those, which would at least give us more space. So we'd be able to set up a grow room again rather than a tent, have a little recording studio and enough space for everything like that. So that, again, more than likely would be about a year off, would be my guess, but you never know what'll happen. But with this new job, it'll qualify me to at least be able to be approved for a mortgage that anywhere else in Canada would buy me an actual house, but not here in BC. Well, not in this, but yeah. So it's not quite. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a houseboat, but it's not really a houseboat. Like, it looks like a house. They're like literal houses, but they just float. So it's like a houseboat, but I wouldn't call it a boat. It's a float home because it floats. It can't, I can't take it out on the water and drive around in that. Hell yeah, Mike L has key. Rock and roll. Jay Blaze. Jay Blaze says, speaking of ethos, what's the most you've ever spent on beans? I've never spent an exorbitant amount of money. As many people have known, watching the show over the years, like I have a huge issue with companies charging $1 billion for beans. So I've never spent a ridiculous amount. What would the most I've ever spent? I maybe spent I spent $65 on a 3 pack once, which I hated. But most of the beans that are in my possession have been gifted to me or I've traded for. I'm not really someone typically often who buys beans. If I were to buy beans right now, the two seed banks that got me in trouble, not them themselves, the YouTube getting mad at us and giving us a strike, um, those would be where I would go. So that'd be Mr. Nice Seed Bank, and AG Seed Co. with from Todd McCormick there. So that's where I would pick those up. But like for example, things there are quite reasonably priced. I think their 10 packs are about, I want to say like 50 to 65 bucks, which isn't amazing, but it is a hell of a lot better than some of the other companies out there. There's been certain companies, like, I mean, Copycat Genetics, which is just them ripping off other people's genetics, and their beans have a very low germ rate. They usually are just completely shit. But they charge hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, for example. And like, so I have a big issue with that. Um, Eugene Dolan, it depends on where you're at, really. I mean, Vancouver is extremely expensive. BC in general is pretty expensive, but Vancouver especially, like, there's like a normal house in the city of Vancouver typically is going to cost you, and this is like for a freestanding structured house, It's going to be usually about $3 to $6 million. Yes, Vic Victor, there is technically a property tax, even though it's like there is no property, but it's quite low. I think the property tax works out on something like that to like $800 a year, $700 a year. Yeah, so the thing is with growing with the twist, like there's a lot of places that I could afford to move to, but because of this new job, I've got to be in the Greater Vancouver area. Because of my acting career right now, at least as it stands, I've got to be in the Greater Vancouver area. So what I'm trying to do is trying to figure out a way to get more space for us to do what we do, for the show, for my grow, for my recording studio. Albeit all the while not having to rent, right? So where I live now, yes, I technically rent it, but I'm grandfathered in. I've had it for, 12, 13 years, this apartment. It's pretty chill in this building, but it's this building is so much more chill than most buildings are. So yeah. Excuse me. What's up, Jeremiah? Sorry, everybody. I'm just reading here. What's up, Tony? Good to see you, buddy. Oh yeah, no, totally. Like Jay Blaze, it's ridiculous. Like copycat genetics and what they're charging is just ridiculous. But all right, I'm caught up. But yeah, so basically that's kind of what we're doing here. Growing up, the plants we got, so more than likely if they both go female, which is I'd like to have two plants in the tent on this next run. It's a little bit more manageable. I'm hoping they both go female. We will see what the genders prove to be on these two ladies that are really taking off right now. But like I was saying earlier, though, like their stalks are huge, bro. Like for little seedlings, they've got like almost pencil thick stalks now, which I'm very happy about. And that sounds good, growing with a twist. Yeah, so basically, like, when will we be transplanting? I'm thinking there's a good chance we will transplant the babies in the next week or so. I've got all the other plants are still drying, so they're just hanging here in the bedroom, and I've got them drying up. So it's dark in here, so you can't really see, but they're all slowly drying out, doing their thing, waiting for me to come through, buck and trim and all that jazz. But right now, in terms of the harvest, how many days have they been drying now? Our drying window now has been about, I want to say roughly 7 or 8 days currently right now that we're at. About 7 or 8 days currently with that. So they're at least they're not drying out too quick. Here, I'll show you the babies here too. So these are the blue cheese by Girl Scout Cookies, but just look at the thickness though of those bottom stalks already. Just gorgeous. Tons of great secondary development. So I'll come through. I'm probably going to do a top in the next couple of days on these and go from there. And this is the other one. Stalk's not quite as thick, but still looking really good, looking really happy. What's up, Seymour Cannabis? Good to see you. So basically, we'll be able to get those transplanted very soon and get them into sort of some bigger pots there. And give them a little bit more space to kind of stretch the legs out and get it going. You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited for these just to really see if we're going to get any sort of cheesiness to the actual flour they're producing. I am a huge fan of cheese, love blue cheese. So blue cheese meets Girl Scout cookies. What will happen? I'm hoping we get that sort of blue cheese funk, and then we get the flour development and structure of the actual Girl Scout cookies, just because they've got such a beautiful Such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful structure to them. I think I'm not a huge Girl Scout cookies fan in general, but I will say it's got an amazing bag appeal. It is a decent producer, and it can get pretty triked out as well. Um, Thank you, Crossword Stoned. What's up, Break TV? How's it going? Isaac Kendrick says, do you think a dry slash cure machine is worth it? I suck at that stage. No, I personally am against using machines that are like quick dry and quick curing machines. They are out there. The concept has existed for quite a long time. I would say, realistically, some of these machines are pretty advanced too. When I first had that kind of concept, shall we say, come across my mind or awareness of its existence. Um, but the fact that they're drying and quote unquote curing so quickly, I really don't buy it. I think cannabis, growing cannabis is a patience game, both in terms of vegging your plants out, having your flower develop. It's a waiting game, right? Good things come to those who wait, and elongating our drying windows. So trying to elongate that to a 10 to a 12 day drying window, if we can get there, perfect. Taking our time, properly hand trimming, curing things that way. I mean, that's just the way to get it going. You know what I'm saying? So Isaac Kendrick, I mean, for me, it's not worth it. I know that the ones that I've seen are extremely expensive as well. So I would strongly recommend just practice, man. It's practice makes perfect. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Cadillac Jack? Good to see you, buddy. I've never tried flour that's been done by one of these machines. I've talked to a lot of my grow buddies who, some of them even own stores, and they supply a lot of the LPs, and they supply a lot of the medical ACMPRs. So like the machines are out there. I don't buy it. I mean, I'd be willing to try flour from it. I'd smoke it. I'd check it out. But honestly, I think it goes against the basic sentiment and nature of proper cannabis production, really. So that'd be my thing. Good things come to those who wait. You got to be patient, and that is the real thing here. Dalesky OG says, YouTube, shake it out. This is my first grow outdoors. I'm using general hydroponics. Okay, 3-part nutrients, fed a little hard. Got a little bit of burnt leaves. Yep. How long should I flush before I go back to nutrients? I mean, honestly, you don't need to flush out for a huge extended period of time when you get new burnt. I'd say one really good a really good flush out is fine. Treat it like you're actually flushing. So again, you're running more moisture through than you typically would. You're wanting to remove excess salt that has burnt your plants a bit, right? And removing that all out. So I'd give it a really good flush, let it dry out, and then I would just kind of go back and stuff. And so remember also too, when we're unsure on feeding things, right? Less is more, okay? Always start at a lower level and work your way up to it. Cannabis can technically, in a sense, almost eat as much as you want it to if you take your time to work it up to that, right? So again, less is more. I would not worry too much about having to do a huge extended flush on your outdoor plants. I'd hit them once, let them dry out, and then kind of keep going from there. Is what I would say. Yeah, right. So crossstone. I mean, the fact is, most dispensary weed, hell, most legal weed isn't even cured, right? So you got to remember when it comes to legal weed, I've seen inside the LPs. I've been to the LPs. I've worked at some of the LPs. Um, you know, Things aren't getting cured before they come to you in the LP world, and typically often aren't cured in the dispensary world. So, like, even when we had medical legal dispensaries here in Vancouver, Canada, nothing was ever getting cured. Like, it was all uncured flower, right? So, their thought process, I guess, really on it is it's going to be sitting in a bag, uh, sitting in this bag for so long that, oh, it's going to cure. Well, curing isn't just dropping of the carbon atoms for the THCA to switch to THC. It is tempering your cannabinoids, it's tempering your flavonoids and terpenes, and it's gassing off too, right? So you've got to let it breathe occasionally. It's very similar to how, you've got a one directional valve for expressing gas on coffee beans. It takes time for that to happen. So, like, just putting something in a bag and going, oh, well, it's curing. Eh, sure, you could technically say, yeah, it's technically curing in the bag, but is it doing a great job? Is it really the way you should be approaching curing? No, it's really not. So typically, most of the flour that's going to be in any legal dispensary in Canada or any dispensary anywhere that you go is not going to be typically actually cured flour. It's just the actual nature of it, really. Um, it's sad but true, right? Like that's where legal weed and dispensary weed really comes from. Is a world of not being cured and having things like that. So it is what it is. What are you gonna do, right? But sad but true. I mean, at the end of the day, though, right? There's a reason why we all love our homegrown. Well, because we're doing things properly. We're taking time to properly dry our plants. We're taking time to cure our plants. We're treating it with respect for its whole life. Where that's not really allowed here in Canada, right? For legal weed. I guess you could do it, but like the cost of production already is so high for legal LPs that any chance of profitability goes out the window the second you mention, well, now you've got to let it sit and cure and you've got to have someone go through, let it breathe, treat it properly. So that's where bulk cannabis is really destroying the sort of high end weed. But that's the thing. LP weed is never going to be high end weed. It's just not in the nature of the game for them to produce it that way. So that's where supporting your local farmers who are taking their time with their crops, supporting yourself and growing your own is a very positive thing. Grow your own weed titties. You know exactly what's going into it. You know exactly how it was handled. You know exactly where it's been and all of that jazz and fun. Do you know what I'm saying? So, no, I don't think they cure those either. If anything, I would say that Amsterdam coffee shops, the few that remain, are worse than here. They're predominantly sat, run. Typically, often things aren't even grown under lamps because growing under a grow lamp in Amsterdam or in Holland or the Netherlands, I should say, Holland is technically a region within the country. Is illegal. Like you're not allowed to use grow lamps. Like that's the funny thing. So like in the Netherlands, I think everyone currently is allowed to grow like one plant, but you can grow it outside. So you're allowed to grow one plant outside the Netherlands. But if you take it inside and you put it under a lamp, the second you do that, it is highly illegal. So a lot of the weed is not necessarily grown under lamps properly. Some of it is, but it's a numbers game. It's about money, right? Like it's never they're never going to dry or cure something properly. They're just rushing to get it to market and to cash their crops in and repeat, right? So it's about money, right? So is it possible for the industry to be set up in such a way where high-end cannabis could have a place in the market? Well, it already does. Boutique cannabis or small growers, small batch cannabis is typically where you're going to get things done properly. Um, and even still in what I would call the gray market, which is where most of this is being produced, it's being produced with people that hold a medical license that they've inflated, saying, oh, I need this many grams a day, which is all malarkey. Nobody needs that much weed, but it entitles them to run these giant, massive grow shows. You might have a week or two of a cure being put on some things for people, but often once it's trimmed, once it's dry and trimmed, it goes into a bag and it goes out the door. I've worked gigs for Trim Test and Press where we'll go in and we'll process, let's say, maybe 20 to 30 pounds of something. And most of it is sold by the time I've gotten home. Because where I would work, it would take me like an hour and a half to 2 hours to drive home. So, like, by the time I get home, most of that's already gone out the door. It's already been sold. Often, sometimes it's even pre-sold too. And it is one of the shortcomings, truly, and sadly, about the cannabis industry. But it's just the nature of what it is. Well, okay, so Greg Page, curing is what's happening when you put it into the jars, right? So a proper dry is 7 to 14 days. Closer to 14 days you can get without destroying your crop, the better. Okay, we like to slow down the rate of our dry. That isn't really curing though. That's drying. So once it's dried and we've brought our sort of plant matter down to where it's in a smokable state, where it still has a decent amount of moisture content to the flower. Moisture content is key to proper curing as well. So if we over dry, augmenting our moisture of the flower a little bit before we go into our curing jars, that's very helpful. Um, and that's actually a trick these days that I'm doing sometimes on stuff. Like if I over dry it, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go do it this way, and then that'll fix it. You know what I mean? So yeah, slowly but surely getting it there. Do you know what I mean? But Eugene Dolan says, I heard that the weed around my town is brown. Shit, and 3 grams to 3.2 grams for 50 euros of little plebs. I mean, I'm assuming that means like little buds, like so smalls. Thank God I grow my own medicine. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. If you're seeing a lot of brown cannabis typically around, even if it's different strains and it's all brown, that means they've been drying in the sunlight. So it wasn't dried properly. It was dried in the light. It hasn't been stored in the dark, and it definitely hasn't been cured. I can guarantee you that they're trying to dry it out as fast as they humanly can, get it trimmed, and then bring it to market. It's a numbers game, right? Daleski OG says, I smoke my weed after it's done drying. Doesn't get time to cure in the jar, and it's never tasted like shop weed. Way better. And I suck at growing. Well, I mean, I get it. You know, when you need to bust into your sack, you got to bust into your sack. And if you out of weed, man, you gotta smoke that fresh crop. You know what I'm saying? Oh, plebs means a little dickhead dealer. All right, that's a new turn of phrase for me. I've never heard the term pleb. But yes, anyway, long story short, curing is important, drying properly is important. And the thing to remember is typically with legal pot in Canada or dispensary weed, pretty much anywhere for the most part, you're not going to be getting properly cured cannabis. So that's where, like, if you go buy a bag of weed, I mean, you probably are SOL on anything grown in Canada because it usually sits around for months and months and months by the time you get it. Heck, I've even seen products being sold in stores that are like over a year and a half old in Canada. So like they've been packaged in that bag for over a year and a half. And then now you get the joy of buying this dry bag of crap that tastes like hay. It doesn't do much of anything. Usually gives you a headache, tastes like ass, and that's the real reality of it. Crip has a question. I've got bugs. Any suggestions to get rid of them? Yes, I would have many. But Crip, what kind of bugs are we talking? I need to know the bugs you're dealing with to give you the best advice that I can. But I definitely will have some suggestions. So I need to know, one, what are the bugs you're dealing with? Two, are you in flower or are you in veg? Three, are you indoor or outdoor? And then we will go from there. Ooh, thrips. Okay, yeah, thrips suck. Are you in flower currently? Both in flower and veg. Okay, so in flower, your options are limited. You can't spray in flower. I mean, you can. I mean, Jake's All in One is an all natural product. I've used it in flower. But the problem with thrips and how they are going to gestate and mature is so basically they're laying their eggs in your leaves. It's going to rupture out of the leaf. It falls into your dirt. Okay. And then once it's in the dirt, then it goes into its larval state. And then that's what's going to then mature. And then it crawls up into your plant to further perpetuate the species. So you could use a product like Jake's All in One. I have used it in flower. You got to bud wash your crops once it's done. Um, in veg, you can definitely spray, obviously. So, spray away. If it's gotten really, really bad, you're kind of fucked. I'm not gonna lie to you. If it's got out of control, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do, especially at least in flower. Um, you can use like a Cusimaris predatory mite that'll go in, they'll attack, they'll eat the thrips, and so they will do a decent enough job, but they're better at mitigating mild infestation rather than a full blown infestation. So a full blown infestation, if it's gotten really bad, um, I would say maybe go in with something like Jake's All-in-One, do a quick spray if it's early on in flower, wait a while, and then maybe introduce some predatory mites into the reality of the plant. I got thrips in flower once, and I held them at bay initially with Jake's. I introduced Cusimaris mites, and then I also introduced predatory soil mites. So basically, though, I couldn't introduce the soil mites and the Cusimaris, which crawl around in the actual branches of the tree at the bottom of the plant, because, well, they would eat each other. So basically, I had to top dress that and introduce the predatory mites to the top of the plant, and then introduce predatory mites that were for the soil to the soil. The one annoying thing with that is that they typically come in either wood shavings or like oatmeal or bran or kind of shit like that. So you've got to basically dump shit all over your flower. It doesn't look great. It does wash off. Okay, so that's what I did, right? So I managed to mitigate it through that run. I survived. I had a successful run. I bud washed everything. So that would be bud washing it with an H2O2 and water, and then doing fresh water right after that. And then I began my drying process, and it was okay. So it's doable. But again, if it's full blown, like if you've gone off the deep end in terms of this infestation, there's really, really, really not a lot you can do. Any homemade remedies? Not for flower. Not really for flower. Like for flower, you're kind of just hooped. I mean, canola oil is a natural insecticide, but also you got to remember though, canola in and of itself as an oil will break down your trichads and the resins of your plant. So you got to, be careful with that. Canola is one of the ingredients in Jake's, but there's also a whole lot of other stuff in there too, all of which is natural, which I can't tell you the recipe just because it is like they have a patent on it. And even though I do know what goes into it, I out of respect for the company, because I know them personally, I won't go into that. So yeah, honestly, you could make. I just don't like spraying in flower though. Like that's the thing, right? So I would say just hope for the best really on the flower. Try to get really focus on your vegeting plants. That'd be my main thing. And then try to hopefully survive the flowering ones, get them down, turf the dirt, turf everything, burn everything. Deep clean your flowering room while keeping your vegging plants completely segregated and staying on top of them, and then hoping for the best that it doesn't come back when you go into flower on the next round of vegetating plants. Okay, there you go. So sulfur burners, yeah, it might work too, but I don't know. Sulfur burners, I'm always nervous about, right? Like, I'm not a big sulfur kind of guy. So it is an option, though. You're not wrong, Jonathan. I like the thought, though, of this peppermint and citric acid wash. Now, are you buying that as a product, Jonathan, or are you making that at home? Because what Crip was saying there is that money's a bit tight there. So if there's something that he can maybe mix up on his own, that would be beneficial there. That's definitely one way to deal with the Dale Scoji. But like a lot of people though do at the same time, they put all this time into the plant. They don't want to just throw it out and stuff. Um, Miss K, if I were growing outdoors, I would definitely bud wash anything that I have growing outside. So for me personally, I would definitely bud wash an outdoor crop. Jonathan, ladybugs do eat thrips, but you got to remember they're not ravenous eaters. Thrips aren't their favorite diet either. They're more of an aphid eating beneficial kind of homie. Plus, once they've eaten past a point and they age, they don't care much about eating anymore. They're just gonna shit all over your plants and fucking make more babies. So it's the youthful ladybug in its initial form eats a shitload of stuff. But again, thrips isn't necessarily its favorite diet. It will eat them, but it's not really what it wants, right? It's kind of like for me, like there's a lot of food out there that I can technically eat. And if I had to eat it, I guess I will, but I'm not going to eat a ton of it. I'm not going to enjoy it. And it's not going to, get me, super excited to go just binging out and eating tons and tons of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that sounds great, Jonathan. Okay, so Anthony, what you're going to want to do. So here's the question, everybody. I realize a lot of people want me to read the question out so they know what the hell I'm talking about. So Anthony says, harvested my first grow and left the circulation way too high. My buds are dry in 3 days. How do I save it? Well, the damage may already be done. I'm just going to be upfront with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. But your only hope is what you need to go through is if you've over dried, you need to rehydrate and rehydrate stat. If you're still in the stock and you're still in the lines where they're hanging, you could do something as simple as getting a humidifier into the room. You could also take the plants into the washroom, hang them on a hanger, and let your shower steam up the room. They will rehydrate very, very quickly, so be aware of that and mindful to that. You could put a boiling pot of water into the room. You could go through and you could buck all the buds off of the branches, which means removing the buds from the branches, which is your first process or first step when you're doing your trim. And then rehydrate those buds in, like, if you could use jars, you could use bags, and then try to like get it to the happy place. The thing to remember though is when we over dry our pot too, right? Your terps and all of that are actually solvents. So when it over dries like that, often it will evaporate out of the plant. And what are you gonna do, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, I hope that helps. Those are some options of what I would do to try to address that and try to salvage what I can out of my grow and hope for the best, really. DLCOG, it is potsquatch420 at gmail.com. Oh, perfect. Awesome. So, Crip, if you're still there, Jonathan has shared the basic breakdown of this. It's got 38% soybean oil, 0.5% peppermint oil, 0.25% citric acid, uh, isopropyl alcohol, which I'm assuming would just be just a little bit to help kind of get everything to sort of emulsify and come together. And then soap water, 61.25% for a 12 FL ounce bottle. It wasn't cheap either. So yeah, I mean, typically you have access to all of those things. You can use soybean. I would also say that that same mixture, you could replace the soybean with the canola oil. Technically, most oils should function as a suffocant in terms of trying to kill bugs. Again, peppermint oil and citric acid should be fairly accessible and fairly cheap. When using the soap water, though, try to use an unscented soap. See if you can try to find an unscented soap, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't want to like take palm olive spring meadow or some shit and then spray that all over your plant. Like that's just not fun. That's not going to help anything anyway. Hell yeah, clearly cruising. I mean, at the end of the day, too, right? Like, I mean, some strains just do really, really well outside, and bud washing isn't that big of a scary thing. Um, you know, it's not as scary as everybody, some people think. The real trick to bud washing is I'm an H2O and water kind of guy than normal water. The real trick is after you do your fresh water dunk or your rinse, you really got to shake that plant out really, really, really good, and then hang it. Daddy-O grows, don't outside plants get washed by the rain? Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, the second it stops raining, more crap's getting on the plant. So if I'm consuming, so typically I don't use outdoor plants for smokables. Outdoor plants are used for making hash or extracts in my mind. That's what I use them for. That's for me personally. Um, but if I were to be consuming outdoor grown flower, I would definitely bud wash it personally. Nice, Jonathan. The only thing to remember when doing a black bag, if you're using like a black garbage bag as a light depot kind of a thing, just be careful for bud rot, buildup of relative humidity or moisture in that bag, because that can destroy a crop in like a day. So just be careful, is all I'm saying. I'm going to second Jonathan's statement. Always, if we're going to be spraying our plants, especially if we're attempting to spray in flower, we do not spray at lights on. Typically, you go in, use a little green light to be able to see, and you're going to spray about an hour before the lights come on. And that's what I would do. I don't like spraying at lights out. My only thought on that is because leaving it all this excess moisture in the environment with a spray and then going into a darkness window or period makes me nervous. So typically I'll spray before lights come on, about an hour before they come on. What's up, Jay Smith? No, I'm just having a couple of beers on the show. This is my first beer. No, I feel you, Jonathan, too, for sure. And I feel you on the wind chill thing and all of that. These are all just things that we always have to be mindful, right? Like the most successful grower is going to be someone who is just mindful to the environment. Use what you know, use logic, use what you've learned, right? And then you just do your best. 1 second here. I am just logging onto the computer so we can check the email. Okay, now I got to switch to the Potsquatch email here. Bear with me, everybody. No, click this. Yes, go to Potsquatch and go to the inbox. And we're going to refresh. Okay. It has not come in yet. I am just waiting for that email. Remember, the email is potsquatch420, all one word, at gmail.com. That's right, Greg Page. Educated, stupid decisions. That's what I advocate for. The true grower is not afraid to take risks, and the true grower makes educated, stupid decisions. Because sometimes when we're in a pinch, in terms of our grows with issues, we've got to think on our feet. We've got to think out of the box. We've got to work with what we have, and we've got to do the best that we can. Sometimes it'll work. Sometimes it won't. If it works, great. You just learned a technique. If it doesn't work, well, you tried and you were creative, but you learn more from mistakes than you do successes. So that is a great way to look at it. And also for those of you who are on Facebook, we do have the Facebook there. We have probably the most active group chat on the Facebook is Potsquatch Breeding 101. There's a few of us that are regularly chatting in there. You can share pictures of your grows if you'd like. You can talk to other growers and make new friends. It's a good time. What's up, Sean Parker? Good to see you, buddy. What's up, Daniel and Drassi? Good to see you. I'm doing well, man. I'm a little. What's up, Earth Creeper? Good to see you. I'm good. I won't lie to you, everybody. I'm a little nervous about the new job tomorrow. Not that I can't do it. It's just new jobs are always nerve wracking, especially when it's like an adult job. I'm shifting gears from being a bartender, and I'm going back into the world of maintenance and fixing shit for a very, very large company. And I've been offered a salary and pay way more than I've ever made anywhere for any job that I've ever had. So there we go. But I'm good though. I'm good. Just nervous about the new job, everybody. But if the new job, I'm sure it'll go well and everything will be just fine. I'll feel better once I'm out of the 3 month probationary window, as per any new job, right? But once I'm out of that, I'll feel a little bit better about it. But it'll be enough money to not only pay off my debt, pay off all my bills. We'll be able to eventually start buying some new toys to play with on the channel for everybody, so we could buy some more tents. There's a lot of cool products that are out there that I'd love to just go buy, and we'll bring it on the channel and try them out and give you an honest evaluation on them, right? Like, I mean, Jake's All-in-One. I advocate for Jake's All-in-One because I just tried it. I went to the store. I needed a spray. I said, "What do you got that's a natural spray?" They said, "Well, we got this local product called Jake's All-in-One." So I took it home. I tried it. I was blown away by the product. So I talked about it. Was never endorsed by Jake's All-in-One. They never sponsored us. I did actually sell their products for a while in our store. Then I had to pull them down while they were dealing with some licensing issues with Health Canada, because technically, in Canada, you have to have a license to be an insecticide and a fungicide, regardless of whether you're all natural or not, which it is. You've got to have that little government piece of paper to play, because that's just how we work things here. So we pulled that off the store when we did that. But we tried it and we liked it. We tried out the Mars Hydrolite. It was all right. It was a dinky little toy light, but it basically kind of worked, except all the stems were really hollow, which is typically indicative of the light just being underpowered. So the plant wasn't getting enough energy for it to do what it needed to do. It could also be indicative of hops laden, which is a weird virus that is spread vis-a-vis contact. But that was not what was going on in that run, right? It was just the light. But then the light burnt out after one run, though, ladies and gentlemen. The thing I'll say about what they sent us, though, I liked their tent. Honestly, the tent wasn't bad. It was a pretty good tent. I didn't mind their tent. Their light was a piece of shit, but the tent wasn't bad. Hops laden virus is very common. It's more common than a lot of people realize, and it's super interesting. Like for me, when I go in and I'm working harvesting for like big rooms and stuff, and sometimes like you'll just see sort of certain sections of a room where hops laden is just fucking virus has gone everywhere. And the whole area has been decimated. Typically, what you're going to see when that sort of sets in on the plant is everything is going to be super underdeveloped. So you're going to see that the plant kind of tried to do what it wanted to do, but it didn't. It's got hollow stems. The buds aren't even really buds. They're really airy. They're very larvae. Typically, these plants will be exhibited a very light lime green color, where the rest of the other plants that didn't get it won't. Sometimes you'll only have it on a certain branch of a plant. Sometimes it'll take the whole plant. All that it has to happen is it's spread by contact, right? So it can spread very easily if you're not careful. And hell yeah, that guy Channel 2. Where in Canada are you going to be? I'm assuming probably just over the border by Detroit there, eh? Excuse me. Air cube system. Greg Page, air cube system? Sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, brother. But yeah, so where are we at in terms of our chores? Well, like I said, we're still waiting for the plants to dry. So probably another couple of days, another 2 or 3 days of drying. I mean, one or two of the plants is maybe kind of getting there, where the other ones are not. So I think it'll be a kind of a staggered bucking. So bucking obviously is, again, as I said, where we're going through and removing all the buds off the branches. Anything that's like too small for me to really give a shit about, I'm just going to strip into a bag, and that'll be used for making hash and stuff like that. So like I'll probably take a couple of the tops off of the blueberry just because I'm curious to see what it smokes like. But most of that whole plant, once it's dry, will be stripped. The Bruce Banner had a few tops that weren't too bad looking, even though I wasn't a huge fan of their flower formation itself. So we'll probably go through, take some tops out to trim up and keep and cure in a jar just to try them out. And then we'll obviously go through on the silver train wrecks and buck all of those. Yo, Pete. Dude, Pete G, are you Texas Pete? Because, yo, Texas Pete, if it's you, I've missed you, buddy. It's been a hot minute, man. It's good to see you. But yeah, so a few more days, and then we'll get to the trim. So we'll go through. We'll buck them as they are ready to buck. We'll pull them down. We'll trim it up, and then we'll put them in the jars and be good to go. Yo, it is Texas Pete, bro. How you been, man? You still growing down there, bud? Jonathan, you can graft cannabis strains onto other cannabis strains. It's not going to augment the flowering window, though. So that grafted branch of the 12 to 16 week strain is still going to function no different than it would have if it stayed on its home plant. So you're not going to be able to graft two cannabis plants together like you can with certain types of orchids and have the two plants then merge into a new type of a thing. That's not going to work. You can do a Franken plant, as I would typically call it, where you basically... I left the burner on for like the last hour. That's not good. And so like, each branch will work. It will grow at its own normal rate. It's a great way that like, if you want to do a bunch of crosses with a singular male and like 4 or 5 different females, get your healthiest mother plant, graft a bunch of other things onto it. Once it's healthy, then it's ready to go into the breeding tent. And, but it won't augment the flowering window of the 12 to 14 week strains. It'd be cool if it did, but it won't. Oh shit, you're a grandpa Pete now, bud. Dude, congratulations on having grandchildren and becoming a grandfather. Well, Pete G, if it's been a hot minute since you've grown, you know what I'm saying? Getting in there and doing some autoflowers just to sort of shake the rust off there and have some fun. Definitely a good place to start for sure, bro. It wasn't there when I checked that's at Udale Ski. Let me check again, though. Yeah, I don't have an email from you there, bud, so you're going to have to send it. So, again, the email is potsquatch420@gmail.com. What's up, Liddy? How you doing? So for those of you who may be newer here, so Texas Pete is what he used to go by. Now he's Pete G. Is one of the old school pod squatches back in the hood days. That was part of our community. I haven't seen him in a hot minute in the show. He bought the very first hat. He bought the very first pack of rollies that ever went out. He bought the first stickers that ever went out. Pretty much anything that we made, for the most part, Pete was the first one to buy it. And it was funny because it was important to Pete. Pete really wanted to be the first to buy it. So when we first launched our little store, and that was back when we were using Shopify before we built our own store, I would get Pete on a call, and then I would like, okay, it just went live on the store. So Pete could be the first one to do it. I think there may have been one thing that Pete may have been number 2 on, because someone snuck in there. But yeah, no, that's going back, man. Shit. That was that was when we bought the first house. That was going back when Dottie and I had only been together for a couple of years, 1 or 2 years, two and a bit years at that time. Shit. Me and that woman haven't been together in almost 3 years now, which is insane when I think about it. But yeah. So, okay, so this is our friend Robert. He was the blind cultivator. He was legally blind. He's an ex-Marine, and the man could basically see almost nothing. And we call him the blind cultivator. And so he has a lot of health issues that he's been fighting with and going on. So I'm glad he's doing okay though. Next time you see him, Pete, you tell him Uncle Potsquatch says, "What's up, man? Good to see you, bud." Oh, we did have fun back in the day, Peachy. We did have fun. I remember one time I was talking to Peachy and I was talking to Robert the blind cultivator, and we were all having a chat on some messenger of some sort. And so Dottie called me and she was like, "Hey, babe, like there's a bear in our driveway. Can you come out and help me get the groceries into the house?" And so I was like, "Hey guys, I'll be right back. Like I gotta go help, help the wife get the food into the house and shit. There's a bear outside." So they're all like, "Oh my god, man, you got a gun?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm good. I got a beer and a knife. I'm good to go. It's just a black bear. It's basically a dog anyway." And they just both look at each other like, "Whoa, man, Canadians are crazy." What's up, Aaron Rock? Good to see you, buddy. How you doing, man? Good to see you too, man. What, sweatpants or sweatshirts? Yeah, we never did those. Again, there's been a lot of things that people have asked for on the store. Like, they wanted sweatpants, or not sweatpants, sweatshirts. We still haven't done those because those are really expensive to produce. They cost more than t-shirts to do. We've had people want toques for winter. Honestly, I think we might be able to get toques out for everybody this winter. So I think we'll bring in some toques. Um, Oh, for the Americans watching, a toque is a beanie. It's the real name of it. It's not a beanie, it's a toque. Sorry, I'm Canadian, so of course I'm going to say that. But so we'll have toques hopefully for this winter. Maybe even hoodies. I don't know. Like I said, this new job will be paying me quite well, so maybe I can afford to kind of get some of that stuff in, ordered by the time winter grasps us all, and we go, "Oh shit, where'd summer go?" Oh no, man! Sold price with the right gun, you can easily kill a bear. You just got to know where to shoot it, bud. What do you think we use to kill them when we eat them? We use guns. Just got to have the right gun and know how to use them. But at the same time, like I was living in a trailer park at the time, and it was like I'm not going to go discharging a firearm in a trailer park. I may be Canadian, but I ain't from fucking trailer park boys. Nah, black bears are harmless. Everybody, like, I mean, you don't really need to worry about a black bear. In the minds of most Canadians, they're essentially just dogs. I know, Daddy O Grows. I know you want us to do a nutrient line, and to be fair, like that's something we've thought about doing over the years. Maybe one day. I don't know. I mean, there's already so many great nutrient lines out there. Like it's such a diverse market already. I don't think we would actually sell enough of it to justify releasing a nutrient line. Honestly, maybe we would, but I just don't know if we would though. Maybe one day. I would rather partner with another company and release something. Then they can handle most of it, and I'll just give input on the actual development. You know what I mean? Like, Kamagra Kamal says, "Bro, I got a Hermie plant, and from the seeds comes out female hairs. I don't found something like this on the internet." Well, yeah, that's not atypical. That's what it happens. So the hairs are pistils, and that's how the pollen goes into the full seed sac to make the seed. So every seed would have a pistil growing out of that seed pod initially. So that's completely normal. That's structurally how it works. Um, so if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, um, then yeah, that's normal. But and so Daddy grows like, for example, like nutrients for poor folks. See, like I dig that. But see, if I were to do like that as a concept, like, nutrients for the poor. I'm just going to invent a nutrient line you can make at home and just teach you all the recipes of what to use and using scraps and leftovers and how to make it for next to nothing. So that's probably would be my approach. I think that would be the most accessible approach for anybody at home, especially if they're, operating on a smaller budget. They don't got tons of money. That's what my recommendation would be like, just make some shit at home out of the stuff you got, right? Grab yourself some banana peels. You're going to get some, molasses, unsulfured molasses. You're going to get yourself some eggshells. You're going to bake those motherfuckers to break it down a little bit. You're going to get yourself some Epsom salts for magnesium sulfate. You're going to get yourself some old coffee grounds. If you go to a coffee shop, typically, and ask really nicely, all the coffee grounds they make from their drip coffee, bring them a Rubbermaid and ask them to put them to the side and come pick it up at the end of the day. They will do that. Most people, coffee shops will do that. Jonathan, how much for one rib? What? What's a rib, man? What's up, Adam? Good to see you, buddy. Oop. There we go. Just making sure I haven't missed anyone's. Oh, Kamagra Kamal, thank you very much. I don't know about that. I definitely do all right, though. But thank you for the love. I appreciate it, my friend. Oh, shit, Dale Sciochi. You're legally blind, too? Fuck, I had no idea, bud. You are now the second legally blind grower that I personally know. You are correct, Soul Price. Magnesium and sulfur are secondaries, but they're important secondaries, though. Oh, I understand now, Jonathan. And I think I have a vague recollection of which Eddie Murphy movie you're meaning, but I'd have to go back. I haven't watched any of the old Eddie Murphy movies in a long time. I guess there's some new people here. Maybe we should show you the little babies again. We can go show you them again if you want. After the show today, I got to go for a walk down to the Winners there and try to find myself some new shoes and shit to wear to work tomorrow. Okay, so these plants here are the blue cheese by Girl Scout Cookies. So there's two that are doing really, really well that I'm really, really happy with. And then there's the weird floopy one in the back. So here, we'll show you the floopy one first, because it's funny. It's actually starting to settle into itself a little bit, though. As odd as it's being, though. So here's the weird little floopy one. She is interesting. But I'm gonna let her just do her thing, to be honest. I'm just gonna leave this little plant doing its little thing and we'll see what happens. Put her in the back there. There we go. And then these are the other ones. They'll get transplanted pretty soon. Definitely ready to have some transplanting action. But like, look at how thick the stem on this is, though. I'm loving the stem on this lady. Like, she's just so thick. And this girl, she's not quite as thick as the other one, but still, really, really nice, big, thick stem. The stems really started to thicken up on these when I inoculated with the microthia. Oh, and I'll show you, actually, because I've got a package of it here. So if people are wondering what microzyme inoculant I've been using, this is what I've been using, and I really like it. So Mycos, pure microzyme inoculant, pure, fresh, alive, from Extreme Gardening Organic Root Enhancer right here. Let's see if I can get it to focus on that. I've been really happy with this product, though. So Extreme Gardening's Pure Microzone Inoculant. It is very nice. So, long story short, once I introduced that into sort of my root systems, I definitely think, because like, they were taking their sweet time to kind of do their initial root sort of setup, which typically, when that happens, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just some plants, that's just what they like to do. Uh, Sorry, someone from Ontario, from Brockville, was calling me, and I'm like, I don't know anyone in Brockville. So we'll probably just there we go. I remember how I fixed it last time. But what was I saying? Oh, right, yeah. So it was taking its time to really develop those roots, and I was like, well, let's just give it a bit of macrothize and see what happens. And it definitely sort of sped that up, I feel, a little bit. And then once that happened, that's when we really had a lot of the foliar explosions, the secondary branchings, and then those big sort of super thick sort of main stalks sort of setting in there. So like having a stalk that thick makes me really happy. I'm excited to transplant it and to see what happens. If they both go female, perfect. We'll at least have the two big ones going out into the tent. And we'll be kind of doing some really intimate training and defoliation and X, Y, or Z on them. So this grow will definitely be releasing quite a bit of content on what are we doing, how are we doing it, just to sort of maximize our end results and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Oh shit, Dale Skioji, that's insane, bro. It looks like a chocolate bar, says Eugene Dolan. Dale Skioji, that's savage, bro. Well, I'm glad you're still with us, and I'm glad you can at least function to a point, it seems. So, if you don't mind me asking, Dale Skioji, so you're legally blind, but like, I'm assuming when you say I'm legally blind, it's like, okay, I'm legally blind, but that means you have some form or level of vision, right? Like, so, like, what, if you don't mind me asking, like, what can you actually see? Like, what is an actual day like for you? Like, is it just blurs? Or what? Oh, yeah, no. Like, I mean, back in the day, PG, man, you remember we used to make the plants talk all the time? I haven't done that in a long time. Maybe we should bring that back on this run. We'll have some more fun. We used to have a lot of fun in the videos. I gotta get a little more silly again, I guess. Do, 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 do. What? Yeah, so, okay. Let's do timelines for people and things. So, trimming, we covered that. So, I'll probably get to bucking and trimming in the next few days. It'll start, and then I'll kind of go through, because again, a couple of plants are drying at different rates. Honestly, looking at those plants now, I may need to transplant sooner, sooner rather than later. So I've still got to clean down the tent. So what I got to do is I'm gonna clean down the tent hardcore, bleach it out. Remember, bleach is your friend when cleaning your grow space. Just be careful with it. It is bleach. And kind of going through, scrub everything down. I'm going to scrub down all the lights. I'm actually, one thing I'm going to do for this run is the hoses that are dryer vent hoses that I'm using off of our sort of air intake there. They are kind of semi, like they let some light in, like they glow a little bit oddly. So I'm going to see if I can find some that have Mylar built into them, so like they don't let light in, and replace the hoses on the air intake. I think that would be beneficial. Then what I'm also going to do, though, is I'm going to turn off all the lights in here, crank one of the lights on in the tent, close it up, do it at night, and then I'm going to search for light leaks. So then I'm going to go around. If there's any little light leaks or anywhere, simplest, easiest way, it's not pretty to fix that, is just slap some duct tape on it. So I'll probably go through there and slap some duct tape on it. I think that'll sort of do a better job for the next run for us, really. Um, and then, yeah, then it'll be good to transplant. So we'll transplant, get things going, and be ready to rocking and rolling. Nice. Hell yeah, Jonathan. Well, one day I'll be able to afford all the fancy toys that I want to play with and try out on the channel. But for now, we got to work with what we got, right? Okay, Daleski. So you can still see some stuff, though, right? Yeah, it'll be interesting for me too because I've got to go fairly soon. And the question will be, has flower started yet? I've got to go, not today, but I'm talking about during this next run, I've got to go away for a week. So I've actually got to go to Prince Edward Island for a wedding. So I don't know if any of you remember back in the day when we had Big A come on the show a couple times. Big A is my best friend from high school there. He's getting married, and I'm the best man at the wedding, so I gotta go to the wedding. And when you're the best man, they tell me you're supposed to show up. So I gotta go fly down to PEI. I'll be there for a week, so I will be in PEI from the 15th to the 23rd. I'm sure I'll be able to do a live stream for everybody from Prince Edward Island, and maybe I'll go find a nice mountain cliff over the ocean, and we can get stoned. We'll see how close I can get. I don't like heights really that much. But we will also have Uncle Michael will more than likely, hopefully, be back in town by then. So I'll get him to come take care of the plants and the dogs. I'm kind of hoping we can stretch the veg window out so I don't have to have him worrying about it during flower. So we'll probably do a big bunch of defulls, lots of feedings and stuff, so we don't really have to ask him to feed too much. Maybe I'll leave a pre-mixed feed with direct exact instructions. The thing with Uncle Michael is he's not a grower, but he can follow directions, right? So what I'm going to try to do is make it as simplistic and easy on him as possible for him to come in and be able to do what he needs to do without losing too much of his mind or killing my plants and having me be really, really mad. Oh, wow, that's crazy, Daleski OG. I had no idea, bro. Well, thank you for opening your eyes and participating in the show, my friend. I respect and appreciate it, man. Nice. Yeah. See, Jonathan, I'd love to have a fully automated, integrated setup with my phone. And one day I will, It's just buying the fancy toys are very expensive. And, so one of these days, I'll get some smart toys to play around with. I mean, some of the AC Infinity stuff's pretty cool. I'd love to play around with one of their setups if I'm being honest, but we'll see. But we'll definitely bring you guys a live show from when I'm away. There won't be any plans to show you, but we'll be on the east coast of Canada on a little island in the smallest province out of all of Canada. If you look it up, Prince Edward Island, it's really, really tiny. You can drive pretty much anywhere in the whole province in a matter of hours. It is not a very large place. Well, the funny thing is, Mudspot is not necessarily though, right? I was doing a gig for Trim Test and Press a while back. This is a few gigs ago now, and so one batch was coming from an LP that we were doing, and it was the same exact strain and same clones as another grower who's an ACMPR grower who's running the same shit. So they had more toys than the ACMPR grower did. They had everything under the sun that you could imagine or want to have for your grow, where the other guy didn't. Their buds barely were buds. Like they were so small, everything was so wonky. It was such a sad, pathetic excuse for a run of pink kush that I'd ever seen. Then you look at the pinks that came in from this ACMPR guy, same clones. Guy had less toys. And his dried buds were like this, like small baseballs, where like you barely had like small little buds on the LP. And so it goes to show you that not necessarily having every toy in the sun is going to do it. Some people can have every toy in the sun, like the grower from this LP, and still shit the bed. Where you can have another guy who, may not have every toy under the sun, but he's kicking ass in a different way, and his buds are dank and huge. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's dope, Jonathan. So a super skunk. Are these autos that you're growing right now, Mudswat, or? So they're photos. Okay. So anything typically, most OGs aren't the world's biggest producers typically. So they're not going to necessarily have huge buds, which is just fine. OG Kush has been notorious for that. Super skunk, if it is anything like some of the other skunks in the day I've grown, it should develop. But again, it'll be a longer running time more than likely on the skunk plant. So just give it a bit of time too. Yeah, so Mudspot, they'll catch up, man. They'll catch up. I just like I said, one of the hardest but most important parts to being a grower is just patience and being patient. You know what I'm saying? So keep it patient, keep it rocking it, and just keep on loving the plants and being observant and mindful to them, and you should be fine. Sorry, I'm just reading everyone's messages. What's up, OG Trev? What's cracking, buddy? Good to see you, man. Hell yeah, OG Trev. Irish Squatch lives out in the whack there too. What's up, Edwin the Birdbee? How's you doing, my friend? Or Birdie? Birdbee. There we go. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, no, it's sad though. The one thing I think, it's driving me a little bit nuts only having so much space here. Like, I wish I could have like 8, 10, 12 different strains going right now. All different types. That'd be so much fun because there's so many things in my collection that I really want to play with and grow out and experiment with. But right now, only having this 2x4, it's like, fuck, man, we can only do so much shit, man. We can only do so much shit. Right? I need more space too. I'll get there one day. No, I don't think we got a thunderstorm in Vancouver the other night. No. Did you guys? I think we had a little bit of rain the other night for like an hour maybe, but maybe like an hour and a half. But definitely wasn't a thunderstorm. It was just a decent amount of rain for about an hour and a half. I feel you, Edwin the Birdbee. I don't do PayPal myself either after they seized our accounts many moons ago and then kept our money. I do believe that for the Squatch lighting systems, you can reach out to Brent and you can actually do a bank transfer as well. Bank transfers are available. The light store also does a credit card and all of that stuff too. But I do know we have sold lights via bank transfer before. So that is a possibility. Jonathan's like, I trade some of my space for extra privacy. My neighbors are the nosiest assholes. I feel you, Jonathan. My neighbors here are pretty good. They, for the most part, leave me alone, so I'm into that. Hell yeah, Daleski OG. I respect that, brother. But yeah, so like that's one of the things. Like in the next year and a bit or so, everybody, like there's a good chance that I'll be able to, as long as this job works out well, I'm secure in there. I get through the probationary period. You know, depending on because part of my job is so I get paid salary, obviously. They've offered me the biggest salary anyone's offered me as a base salary, but then I also get paid mileage. Mileage is 70 cents a kilometer here in BC, and it is tax exempt. I'm going to be doing realistically 40 to 75,000 kilometers a year at this job. So let's do the math out at 40. So 40,000 kilometers a year at 70 cents a kilometer is uh, $28,000 a year. But that's tax exempt. So it's like making almost twice that because we get taxed really high here in Canada. So this new job has basically got me in a position where I'm going to be making, as long as it works out and it keeps going, they're happy with me and I'm happy with them and everything's good. I'll be making like 100 to $125,000 a year, is how it works out to, which is pretty dope. And it's more money than I've ever made doing anything. So hopefully I'm going to be trying to, even if it is going into like a weird float home. So I live like on a floating house now. So if the water gets rocky, I'm like this in my bed. I don't know. But some of the houses I've been looking at that are for sale right now, at least, are anywhere from like 1,000 to like 1,300 square feet. So with that level of space, though, 13,000 or 1,300-ish, give or take, square feet, we'd be able to set up a room again. We'd be able to set up a recording studio again. I'd have more space to do everything that I need to do. Okay, clearly cruising. I mean, where now? What hood are you in? Like, where are you living? Where this outdoor plant is, bud? OG Trev, Buds for you is needing drivers in the family. If you know anybody, probably O'Shea. I mean, O'Shea was down to start doing a driving job for some other cannabis company. But Irish Squatch or our boy O'Shea, I mean, he works as a welder already, but I think he'd have room on it. How's the pay on that job, though? You're in California? Okay, so you're basically very similar. You got better sun than we do, but you're similar in season in a sense to us, kind of. So, yeah, having pre-flowers now is not a bad thing. You should be having some pre-flowers now, because All right. Well, I'll just tell O'Shea to check out their website if he's still looking for an extra job on top of what he's doing now. No, we go by liter, Eugene. Fuck, I don't own any diesel vehicles. I can't quite remember. I'll look up what a liter of diesel is for you right now. What is a liter of diesel? Here we go. 1 second here. That can't be right. Okay, so here, I'm just trying to get you an accurate thing here. Okay, so right now, a liter of diesel, it's a lot lower than it was, so it's $1.88. It's, if you go back to June 30th, 2022, though, that would have been $2.50 a liter. Diesel jumps around quite a bit, it seems. But right now, diesel is sitting at $1.88 or so, give or take. God damn it. I'm always breaking or dropping things. There we go. Hell yeah, Cody G. Good to see you, buddy. I hope it's doing well in Massachusetts. No, it'd be more than five a gallon. 3 point, what is it? 3.84, 3.87, 3.86 liters to an American gallon. I think it works out to more than 5 though. But we could throw the ish on there. We'll go $5 to $6 a gallon maybe. Yeah, no, our fuel is quite expensive in Canada. Like it's a lot more expensive in Canada for fuel than it is in the States. So, like, when I see Americans getting really upset about what they spend on anything, and then I'm like, man, if they knew what we spent on things here in Canada, like, they would not be bitching. Like, I see American prices and I go, wow, y'all got a good deal on everything, man. From your food to your gas to your cell phones. It's astonishingly cheap. Yeah, but the cost of goods in Canada, they are up. Things are expensive, but they've always been expensive here, so it is what it is. I mean, like I was saying at the beginning of the show today, like if I were to try to buy a house in Vancouver, well, one, I couldn't, but two, like the average house in Vancouver runs $2.5 to $6 million. There's like kind of like a 3-story kind of condo across the street for sale. I don't know what the square footage of it was. I didn't look at that point. I was just curious. They were having an open house yesterday or the other day. So I was walking my dogs, and so I stopped, and I was like, you know what, I'm curious what they're charging, in this building. And it's a gated building too, right? So like there's a common area, but you got to have a code to get into the gate. It's just across the street from my building. And I think the asking for this 3-story condo is 1.7 or $1.8 million, which is insane. Well, okay. So we've gone over everything. We've showed you the plants. We're just still waiting on the dry to go through and trim all the plants, but things are going well. Normally I'd love to stay and hang out longer, but I gotta go pop down to the store. Gotta get some clothes to wear to work tomorrow. I also need to go and I need to buy some deodorant. I need to almost set of toilet paper. I gotta get more laundry detergent. I gotta get these types of things so I can be ready to go. My day starts, well, for me, it's early. My work day will start tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. out in White Rock. So basically, I got to go to White Rock in the morning, which means that's about an hour-ish or so drive from my house. Um, I want to be there early, so that means, if I want to be there at 8:15, then I got to leave here no later than 7:15, which puts me having to get up well before that, which is again not that early compared to some people's work days, but it's early for me. So we will get the show going. We'll do another live stream at some point over the next week for everybody, and we'll make a video when we finally transplant the plants. We'll do a video on that, or maybe we'll do like a video of like cleaning and transplanting, or I don't know. We'll see what we come up with, but that'll all be coming out very, very soon. But like I said, I gotta go down and buy the shit I need. Yeah, I gotta go buy clothes though, OG Trev, right? So I'm gonna go mob down to the Winners outlet there on Canby, and see if I can find pants that fit, some shoes, and some shirts I can wear to work as a maintenance man in a retirement home. But it's technically not a retirement home. It's independent living. So all of the clients at the buildings, they have their own apartment and all this, but there's like a restaurant in there and stuff, and it's for fairly well-to-do old people. I'll put it to you that way. I was looking into it just because my dad was curious, because he's getting a little older now. But to get the smallest one-bedroom apartment there at one of their older buildings is like $5,800 a month. Now, you get the apartment. It covers all your shit. It covers like your meals and your food, right? So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It covers all that kind of stuff. They've got alcohol there. They've got this. They've got that. They've got activities. They've got, so there's stuff. There's stuff to do, but it's not cheap though. Funny thing is, like my dad and stepmom could not afford to live there if they wanted to go and live in that home. It just would not work. But yeah. So simply put, it's for rich old people, and I'm the man who comes and fixes things. Or basically I'll go to all the buildings to make sure that contractors are doing their jobs and tradespeople are on top of it, and I'm basically the enforcer slash doer for the big head boss of all the buildings. So I drive around a lot, and let's bloody hope it goes okay, because if this job works out, everybody, financial issues are now not a thing for the channel. I can afford new equipment to play around for stuff. And also my stress level is going to go from like up here, which it is typically every day of my life right now, to down here, which will make me a happier, more entertaining Potsquatch, making videos and having fun with everybody on the channel, and just, keeping it real and kicking ass and taking names. So for those of you who are new here, please like, subscribe if you'd like to. Tell your friends, check out our old videos. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. Share them around. It's a way that you can really genuinely help us with YouTube and the algorithm and all that kind of crap. Check out the Potsquatch Growers community on Facebook. We also have the Discord. If Soul Price is still there, Soul Price can share that one out for you for the Discord. We also, like I said, the Potsquatch Growers community on Facebook. Answer the questions. It is, in fact, a liability, so we need you to answer them so we can let you in right away. Also, check out our store, PotsquatchSales.com. That's where you can get all your hats, T-shirts, grinders, papers, beans, beard oil, CBD, all these types of things. So check that one out. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot more to say other than I need to go shopping now. So remember, the true grower is the forever student. The true grower is not afraid to take risks. The true grower makes educated, stupid decisions. Love yourselves, love your plants, and remember, it's a dark world out there. A lot of people going through a lot of shit. Be nice to each other. We don't have to agree to get along. All right, we'll see you next time. Keep it real. Uncle Potsquatch loves you. Peace out.